Settle into your seat. Let your body soften. The world outside begins to move, slow and smooth, as the train slips quietly away from Arachar and Tarbet, a tiny Highland station tucked between the locks. You breathe in. The scent of old pine and damp earth clings to the window pane. You're moving now, northbound, deeper into the Highlands, and already the forest is thick around you. The train curves gently through a narrow valley. To your left, the last fingers of Loch Long stretch into the distance, glinting beneath the soft golden light of late afternoon. To your right, the flanks of Bain Breac rise steeply, patched with rust-red bracken and shadows. The sound of the wheels against the tracks is steady, a soft rhythm that invites your breathing to slow. Inhale and exhale. Outside, the trees are ablaze with autumn. Birch leaves flutter gold and lemon. Oaks burn in copper. Pines stand dark and tall, unmoved by time. As the train begins to climb, the forest deepens. You pass the fringes of Argarton Forest, where twisted trunks and moss-covered rocks give the land a dreamlike stillness. Sunlight flickers through the canopy, strobes of warmth and shade moving across your lap. Everything is alive and yet so calm. You let go a little more of the day, of expectations, just watching, just listening. Ahead the trees part, just for a moment, and there it is, Loch Lomond, your first glimpse. The great loch reveals itself like a painting unrolling, wide and silvery, far below. The train clings to the high western side of the loch, tracing a route once carved through mountain and forest. It feels almost like flying. The water is still, holding the sun's reflection like a sheet of gold leaf. On a small island just offshore, Inchlanag, you think, you catch sight of a cluster of ancient yews. They say they've stood there since the time of the kings, untouched, patient. A heron lifts off from the shoreline, wings slow and deliberate. The rails carry you gently higher. A steep slope drops away beside you, dotted with gnarled trees clinging to the rock. Beyond them, the expanse of the loch, vast, silent, stretches out toward the soft silhouettes of Ben Lomond and Rower Denon on the far shore. You breathe in again. The air is cooler now, crisp with the scent of pine resin and loch water. A wisp of mist curls over the hills across the water, lit gold by the dying sun. This moment, right here, this is yours. You pass above in Veraglas, where a faint path leads from the water's edge into the wooded hills beyond. The glint of the sun hides behind the trees, almost invisible, just a shape half swallowed by shadow and stone. Somewhere in the distance, a stag may be watching. The stillness of the hills makes you feel like a guest in a land older than memory. The train curves again, and the light changes. Softer now, deeper, the golden hour is blooming. Your body feels heavier, but in a good way, like settling, like grounding. The loch continues beside you, sometimes close, sometimes glimpsed through trees. The occasional farmhouse appears, nestled in a clearing, smoke rising faintly from chimneys. You imagine the warmth inside, the quiet conversations, the slow turning of clocks. At one point, you pass above a narrow peninsula that juts into the water. Rubaban, perhaps. A fisherman stands alone at the edge, rod in hand, framed by the endless calm of the loch. You wonder what he's thinking. Or maybe, like you, he's just being. The train gently enters a wooded cutting. The loch vanishes from view for a moment. You're surrounded again by forest. Quiet. Close. Sacred. Above you, the ridge of Ben Raoch glows amber in the last light of day. To the west, the clouds begin to catch fire, peach and rose and lavender hues melting into one another. Let your breath follow the rhythm of the rails, steady, unhurried, sure. As you approach the northern tip of the loch, the land feels wilder, more open, the trees thin, the views stretch. You pass near Ardlui, a tiny hamlet at the head of Loch Lomond. You catch a glimpse of the marina, boats bobbing gently, their masts swaying like reeds in the wind. The water is darker here, deeper, reflecting a sky that's almost purple now. You might see a scattering of sheep along the hills. You might notice a pair of swans gliding just offshore. You might not see anything at all, and yet still feel everything. This is the moment to simply rest, to feel yourself here, on this train, moving without hurry, without noise, letting the Highlands open up around you. As the loch disappears behind a bend, replaced again by pine and rock, you feel a sense of passage, of leaving something beautiful behind, but trusting what lies ahead. Let that guide your breath. Inhale, exhale, trust. Let go of the stories you carried with you. Let the hills hold them. Let the loch wash them away. You are no longer arriving or departing. You are simply traveling, wrapped in gold, rocked by rhythm, cradled by the land. And as the train begins to enter the darker arms of the glen beyond the loch, the world grows even quieter. Let yourself sink into this stillness. Let yourself be part of it. The journey continues, and so do you. The loch is behind us now. Its mirror still surface, its golden reflections, its endless hush, all tucked away in memory like the soft close of a page. The train curves northward again, its wheels whispering over rails that wind gently upward. Outside the window, the land begins to shift. The hills draw closer. The air feels cooler, thinner, crisp like a fresh breath. You are entering the glens now, ancient valleys carved by time, touched by mist and legend. On your right, the slopes of Ben Vorlich rise up, shadowed and dignified. The sunlight slides down its shoulders, breaking into fragments across mossy outcrops and heather-strewn ledges. Pockets of pine and fir cling to the hillsides, dark against the copper of the bracken. Let your breath match the landscape. Slow, rising like the mountains, falling like the glen below. Every curve of the track reveals a new detail. A low stone wall covered in lichen, a narrow stream weaving silver threads through a field of faded thistles, a lone sheep pausing to watch the train pass, still as a statue in the waning light. You pass through small clearings, places where the trees draw back and let the golden sky in. These little openings feel like invitations to soften, to let go, to become part of the rhythm. Inhale and feel your shoulders ease. Exhale and feel the quiet enter your chest. The glen deepens now. The slopes on either side feel close, protective, like walls of velvet. Soft light catches on the tall grasses and bends them in waves. Even the breeze seems to move slowly here. Below, a narrow burn tumbles through rocks, its voice cheerful but hushed, as if not wanting to disturb the stillness. You follow it with your eyes as it winds toward a hidden valley where everything seems untouched. This is Glen Fallick, a secretive place where the hills whisper to one another and the sky presses low with comfort, not weight. You pass along its edge, a guest, not an intruder. You breathe in again. The scent is different here, cooler, edged with peat smoke and damp soil. Even the colors shift. Gold deepens into amber, green folds into plum, and the sky above begins to turn a soft lilac. You're not watching time pass, you're watching light evolve, and somehow that's more peaceful. There's a small bridge now, stone and arched, crossing a stream so clear you can see the pebbles underneath. On the far side, a cluster of rowan trees leans into the slope, their berries glowing red like embers. You imagine the wind rustling through them, carrying old Gaelic songs only the hills remember. Let your body be still now. Let the sound of the train be your lullaby. Let the golden hush of the Highlands wrap around you like a shawl. Up ahead, the land opens briefly into a wide meadow. A herd of Highland cattle grazes beneath the shadow of Ben Moor, their long horns and shaggy coats catching the fading light. They are part of this land. So are you. You pass close to a winding trail, barely visible from the train. It leads into the hills, vanishing into heather and silence. You imagine walking it, slowly, with no urgency. Just the sound of boots on soft ground and birds overhead. The train climbs again, and with each meter of height, the view grows wider. You can see far across the glen now, to the waterfall tumbling from the crags above East Fallick, its waters leaping joyfully over dark stone, catching the last rays of the sun like liquid gold. Let that be your breath, bright, effortless, free. The sun lowers behind the western ridges now. The sky is painted in deep rose and pale bronze. The first signs of dusk begin to soften the edges of the world. But here in the glen, the glow lingers, a soft farewell kiss upon the hills. You notice a scattering of cottages far below, smoke curling gently from their chimneys, Golden lights flicker in their windows, and you imagine the warmth inside. Mugs of tea, blankets, quiet music. Someone watching the same sky from a different angle. You feel connected, even in solitude, even in motion. There's a quiet joy in simply observing. The trees return now, taller, darker, fir and spruce standing like sentinels. The train slips into their shadows, and for a moment, it feels like dusk has already arrived. But then, a break in the trees, and there, in the near distance, the soft outline of Crianlarich appears, nestled among the folds of the glen. You won't be stopping. But its lights glow gently beneath the trees, like stars caught in the forest. The train turns slightly, leaving the valley behind, climbing toward deeper lands, where the wilderness begins to stretch wider, and the night prepares to fall. Let this be your breath now, soft and long. Let your thoughts wander like smoke. Let your heart rest like lock water in stillness. You are carried. You are safe. You are part of the land, and the land is holding you. As the last streaks of sunlight fade and the hills close in again, you feel it. The quiet. The real, living quiet that only comes when the world trusts you enough to show its stillness. Let that stillness be yours now. Let the train carry you forward, into shadow, into peace, into the heart of the Highlands. The gentle hum of the train continues, steady, soothing, carrying you ever deeper into the quiet. Crianlarich has fallen behind now, its warm glow tucked into the hills, fading like the last word of a lullaby. Outside your window, the land is changing again. The glens give way to something wider, wilder. The mountains rise taller now, silhouettes cut from dusk, and the trees begin to thin, as if they too are stepping back, making space for something older than forest. You breathe in. The air feels untouched here, sharp, open, laced with the scent of wet stone and distant peat. There is space in every direction, not emptiness, but possibility. To the west, the slopes of Bain Odhar watch over the valley, its summit brushed with mist and light. Golden hour is slipping gently into twilight, and the sky has turned a soft lavender gray. The train climbs again, slowly, silently. A ribbon of movement through the rising land. You pass scattered pools beside the track, dark, still, reflecting the sky like fragments of fallen glass. The silence deepens. Even the birds have quieted. It feels like the world is holding its breath. And then it opens. Before you, the vastness of Rannoch Moor stretches into eternity, raw, remote, and endlessly beautiful. A high wilderness of lichens and bogs, heather and stone, touched only by wind and time. The rails slice gently across it, carried on causeways and embankments as if floating above the land. You feel weightless too. The moor glows in fading gold, with patches of rust-colored moss and violet heather. Tiny lakes, too many to name, catch the light in glimmers. Some are still, some ripple in the wind. All feel sacred. You pass close to Locha Nastange, its surface spread wide like a mirror to the sky. The reeds at its edge sway in soft rhythm, and a single bird lifts into the air, wings cutting through silence. Breathe in the wildness. Breathe in the mystery. You are in a place that belongs to no one and welcomes everyone. There are no houses here, no fences, no roads, just land and sky, and the faint thread of a train moving gently through the heart of it all. Let your thoughts drift like the mist across the moor. Let your breath become soft and wide. You don't need to think. You don't need to do. Just witness. To the north, Baina Creechan looms in the distance, its shoulder curved beneath the last light, its face marked by ancient scars and shadowed folds. You imagine the wind up there, cool and wild and free, and down below, the moor spreads on, quiet pools, slow streams, moss-covered stones. You pass over narrow bridges, see the shimmer of Locha Na Creechan to your left, and feel as if you're the only person in the world. There's a kind of stillness here that doesn't ask for silence, it offers it. The train hums softly, a companion to the quiet, not disturbing it, just joining it. Let your breath match the pace of the journey, slow, unrushed, confident. The grasses outside are turning bronze in the low light. You imagine the rustle of wind among them, the slow bend of long stalks, the hush of night arriving like a blanket. Up ahead, a group of deer cross a narrow ridge, just dark shapes against the horizon. They pause, then vanish behind a swell of land. You wonder if they saw the train, if they watched you watching them. The light continues to fade, but it's not sudden. It's gentle, like a curtain being drawn with care, one shade at a time. The landscape begins to feel more dream than place. Water glows faintly silver, hills become silhouettes, and the moor takes on the quiet majesty of something ancient and alive. You pass a twisted tree, alone, shaped by wind and time. Its branches reach toward nothing in particular, and you admire its persistence, its grace in standing alone. Breathe in that feeling of strength, of stillness, of knowing you don't need to be more than what you already are. Another Lochen appears, nameless, calm. The train curves gently around its edge. You imagine the sound of rain falling here, the quiet tap of drops on water and stone, the kind of sound that soothes without needing to explain itself. You feel your own thoughts growing softer now, less urgent, less sharp. They blur at the edges like the hills in the evening mist. Let them. Let your mind rest. Let it become part of the moor. You're not trying to arrive. You're not trying to understand. You're simply traveling through. And that's enough. The wind picks up a little, and the grasses outside dance in it, moving like waves on a slow ocean. Somewhere in the distance, a curlew calls. its lonely fluted cry echoing across the land. It sounds like a memory. It sounds like peace. As the train crosses the narrow stretch of land between two mirrored lochs, you feel suspended between earth and water, between day and night, between thought and stillness. Let yourself hang there, weightless, held by the landscape, by the rhythm of the rails, by the trust of simply being. A final streak of sunlight touches the tops of the hills, then fades, and twilight settles like a sigh. The train continues, carving its soft path northward, carrying you deeper into the stillness of the Highlands. You breathe in again, and let go just a little more. The train moves forward, unhurried, cutting a quiet line through the open breath of Rannoch Moor. Behind you, the moor stretches into memory, a golden hush now dipped in dusk, its shimmering pools and bronze grasses fading to soft shadow. Ahead, the land rises ever so slightly, not in peaks or ridges, but in the subtle swell of open country that no road reaches. Only this train and your breath carry forward now. You sit still, held by the rhythm, held by the silence. To your left, a vast sweep of land rolls away into the mist. Low hills curve like sleeping giants beneath a pale mauve sky. The world feels thinner here, like the distance between you and the sky has folded in. The train follows the soft arc of the track, and then, in the middle of this wild emptiness, a small wooden platform appears. No roads, no buildings, just a name, barely lit, Corower. You glide past it without a pause. The most remote station in Britain, surrounded by nothing but moor and mountain. It feels like a place out of time. You breathe in, and the air feels higher, clearer, almost sacred. A few deer stand motionless near the tracks, watching the train pass, their bodies etched like silhouettes against the shadowed hill behind them. You wonder if they've stood there 100 times, watching these glowing carriages slip through the dusk. The train begins to descend now, just slightly, easing down from the height of the moor into a narrow glen where water finds its way. To your right, the edge of Loch Ossian peeks through the trees, its surface just catching the last silver sheen of sky. The loch lies still, nestled in the arms of low hills, as if it had been laid there gently and left untouched for centuries. You can almost hear the quiet there, the lap of water on stone, the rustle of reed and grass, the silence of no footsteps, no questions. The sky is turning deeper now. That in-between light, not day, not night, just soft. It soothes you, makes everything inside feel simpler, slower, more like truth. The train curves again, following the contours of the land, slipping between two ridges towards something hidden. A few scattered birch trees line the slopes, their white bark catching the fading light, their branches bare but elegant against the evening. You pass a narrow burn tumbling down the hillside, its water gleaming like a thread of silver thread sewn into the fabric of the land. And then the glen widens again. To the left, the terrain drops away. You lean closer to the glass, and there it is. Loch Traig, long, narrow, deep. It stretches out beside you, dark as ink, lined by steep hills that rise sharply from its edge. No houses, no boats, just water and stone and silence. The train clings to a ledge cut into the hillside above it, and for a moment it feels like you're floating above the loch, gliding through air and shadow. Clouds drift above the surface. Their reflections shimmer like smoke. Somewhere near the far shore, a lone bird wheels, a dark shape gliding across a mirror. Let your breath be that bird. Let it wheel and soar, untethered, free. The water of Loch Traig holds stories, some told, most never spoken. Old paths wind through the heather high above it, and ancient stones sit still among the moss, watching the world turn. As the train rolls along its edge, you feel the presence of something vast. Not heavy, just deeply quiet. You pass under a stand of pine trees now, their trunks dark and fragrant. The scent of resin and earth slips through the cracks, and the forest hush surrounds you. The light is fading faster. Not gone, but wrapped in blue and gray. The sky takes on a softness that feels like velvet, and the loch beside you holds it all. The light, the stillness, the slow exhale of the land. Another bend, a flash of golden grass on the hillside, a ripple across the loch's surface, and then the trees close in again, a brief passage through shadow and root. Let your breath go with it. Let it dissolve into the rhythm of this moment. You are not separate from the journey. You are part of it. The train is quieter now, or maybe you are. Maybe the outside world has begun to settle inside you. Beyond the trees, the land falls steeply toward the water. The hills to your right are sheer now, towering, ancient, flecked with stone and dark brush. The sky above Loch Traig is nearly violet. The first star trembles faintly in the east, and there, between hills that fold like arms around the loch, the train disappears into a short tunnel, carved through the shoulder of the land. It's quiet inside, cool and dark. A pause in the journey, a moment of still. You breathe in, a full grounding breath. You hold it, and you release. The tunnel opens, and the world returns, but it has changed. Now the land is darker, more shadow than shape, more quiet than movement. Loch Traig slips away behind you, and ahead the Highlands stretch on. Let yourself stretch with them, beyond time, beyond thought. You are moving forward, into the night, into the calm. The night deepens gently, and the train begins to descend, leaving behind the high, still waters of Loch Traig, carving its way down through a narrower, steeper land. You feel it in your body, not a drop, just a soft downward slide, like sinking into blankets, like letting go. The window darkens with forest shadow. Tall firs rise around you, framing the track like pillars of a great silent hall. You pass along the shoulder of Creag Fiaclach, its dark ridges lost in mist, its slopes thick with tangled pine and hidden burns. And somewhere far below, a river begins to run. You catch the flicker of it through the trees, silver and quick, dancing over stone. This is the River Traig, born of the loch and rushing westward, carving its own path through the glen. It speaks in quiet murmurs, not loud, not wild, but constant, like breath, like thought, like the rhythm of the rails beneath you. Let that be your focus, the river's voice, the train's motion, your own stillness. Each turn of the track brings something new into view. A clearing where the trees fall away, a sudden glint of light on water, a slope covered in yellowing ferns, lit by the final traces of twilight. Now and then, a lone pine stands higher than the rest, its outline clear against the darkening sky. You imagine the wind up there, cool, steady, smelling of moss and loch air. Let that wind move through you, clearing, soothing, fresh and forgiving. To your left now, the great mass of Stabquire Isan begins to rise. You see only its lower slopes at first, a great heather-cloaked flank rising into dusk. But then the trees thin again, and suddenly you're looking up at something vast. The mountain's face is streaked with ancient rock, wet with a thin line of water slipping from high above. A long, narrow waterfall, falling without hurry, like time itself. You don't need to name it. You don't need to explain. You just need to witness. The train glides along a narrow ridge now, with the river Speen appearing far below, its waters cutting a silver thread through the glen. This is Glen Speen, wide and deep and peaceful. Even in shadow, it glows with life. The train curves gently into its embrace, and you feel the land soften again, less wild, more settled, but no less beautiful. To your right, the forest thickens, a mixture now, fir, spruce, birch. The silver trunks of the birch trees catch the last of the light, making them look like spirits among the darker green. You breathe in again. The scent is damp now. Wood, earth, cool air. It's the smell of nightfall in the Highlands. The train passes over a quiet viaduct, arched and old, its stonework barely visible in the dimness. Beneath it, a small burn bubbles happily over polished stones. A fox watches from the undergrowth, just a flash of fur, a glint of amber eyes, and then it's gone. You let your thoughts come and go the same way, appearing, drifting, dissolving. No need to follow, just notice, just breathe. Up ahead, the land opens again, a wide, tree-lined stretch of valley. To your left, beyond the trees, you glimpse the still waters of Loch Laggan, barely touched by wind, catching the light of early stars. Its shores are soft, scattered with reeds and stones, and above it, the ridge of Creag Mallaig stretches long and pale. You feel the shift from moorland wildness to valley calm. The journey carries you gently through the folds of the glen, and though the night grows darker, nothing feels lost, only quieter, only slower, only deeper. A cottage appears in the distance, just one, a golden glow in its window, a thread of smoke curling into the blue-gray sky. Someone is home there. You imagine them seated by a hearth, a mug of tea in hand, perhaps listening to the same wind you hear. The train rolls on, and you roll with it. To your right now, the dark mass of Ben Nevis begins to rise. You can't yet see its summit. It's cloaked in low cloud, but you can feel its presence, the way the land lifts around it, the way the forest hushes in its shadow. This is sacred ground, not in ritual, but in stillness, in awe. You breathe in, and your chest rises with the land. The lights of a small village appear in the distance now, scattered across the base of the glen, soft and far away. This is the edge of Fort William. But you're not arriving. You're only passing through. The journey continues. The night deepens. And so does your peace. Let your thoughts settle like the mist. Let your breath slow like the river. Let the rhythm of the rails carry you onward, gently, quietly, into the folds of the land. The train hums forward once more, leaving behind the sleeping foothills of Ben Nevis, and the quiet, distant lights of Fort William fade like stars behind a passing cloud. You exhale gently, feeling the shift in the air, the land turning again from steep glens and dark forests to something broader, quieter, open to the sky. Ahead, the Highlands begin to relax their grip. The mountains soften, the rivers widen. You feel the pull of the coast now, a new kind of stillness, one touched by salt and wind. The river Lochie runs to your right, broad and silver in the dimming light. You watch its slow, glistening current as it winds toward Loch Lynn, pulling pieces of the glen into the sea. There's a sense of motion here, not fast, but wide. Like everything is flowing outward, toward something beyond the map. You let yourself flow with it. A leaf in the current, a breath on the wind. The forest outside thins again, and you catch glimpses of the Caledonian Canal cutting clean and straight across the land. Its waters lie still as glass, mirroring the sky, soft blue upon soft blue. You cross a narrow bridge, and for a brief moment you're suspended. Sky above, water below, nothing but air holding you. And then the land returns. Low hills roll beside you, painted in dusk light, dusky lavender and cold gold. To your left now, Loch Isle comes into view, long, narrow, tidal, the first breath of the coast. Its surface holds the colors of evening like a canvas. You can see reflections of trees and ridge lines folding into it like soft ink. The train hugs the shoreline, curving gently as the loch curves, moving not through the landscape, but with it. Let your breath follow that curve, smooth, unbroken, steady as a tide. Faint lights shimmer on the far side, A few scattered homes near a hovel, barely touching the land. They seem like stars fallen into the hills. You pass through a short tunnel and emerge beside a quiet cove. Seaweed curls along the pebbled shore. A group of birds, maybe sandpipers, scatter across the waterline, their wings flashing silver for a second before vanishing into the dusk. You breathe in the briny air, imagined but vivid. It smells like driftwood, rain, and cool stone. Everything feels slower here, like time has thinned, like thought has dissolved into light and landscape. And then the land lifts again. The track rises gently into a glen so beautiful it almost feels imagined. You've entered Glenfinnan. To your right, the mouth of Loch Shiel opens like a mirror, its water stretching long and quiet beneath the mountains. The loch is framed by high ridges, and its surface reflects the last of the western light. A band of glowing gold between two curtains of shadow. At its head, you see the shape of the Glenfinnan monument, rising quietly beside the shore, a lone silhouette among reeds and water. It stands watch over the glen, not loud, not grand, just present, like memory, like silence. And then, as the train begins to turn again, it happens. The sound changes, the track widens, the world opens below. You are crossing the Glenfinnan viaduct. The train glides out onto its high stone arches, floating above the glen. To your left, the mountains fold around Loch Shiel, their shadows stretching long and soft. To your right, the curve of the viaduct bends into the distance, each arch carrying you forward, step by step, like a bridge into a dream. You look down. The valley lies far below, a quiet sweep of land touched by river and mist. Sheep graze among the ferns. A stream curls through the grass like silver thread. The world looks peaceful from above, whole, undisturbed. You breathe in, and for a moment, you feel like you are part of the sky, part of the air itself. The viaduct is long, 21 graceful arches, but the time it takes to cross feels timeless, like a held breath, like a moment stretched to its softest edge. And then, gently, the train returns to earth. The wheels whisper again on solid track, and the land closes around you with the warmth of an embrace. You pass through quiet woodland now, birch and rowan, their leaves turning flame orange in the deepening dusk. The branches shimmer slightly in the breeze, like lanterns in the wind. A cottage appears by the track, set into a clearing, its windows golden with lamplight. You don't know who lives there. You don't need to. It's enough to know that someone does, that life continues, even in the most hidden corners of the world. Let your breath mirror the scene, quiet, steady, lit from within. Loch Shiel vanishes behind you now, tucked once again between hills and shadow. The sea is drawing nearer. Though you cannot see it yet, you can feel its pull. The scent in the air shifts slightly, cooler, salt-touched, like an invitation. But there's no need to hurry. You're exactly where you're meant to be, held between mountain and loch, between sky and track, between the hush of the glen and the promise of the shore. Breathe and be here. Now, the train hums onward, leaving Glenfinnan behind like a dream dissolving into the trees. But the feeling stays with you, a hush in your chest, a softness around your eyes, as the rhythm carries you forward, deeper into the folds of the West Highlands. Outside the window, the land changes again. The hills grow lower, the sky wider. You're leaving the mountains now, not suddenly, but gently, like a tide receding, revealing something quiet and bright beneath. The track curves through pockets of woodland, tall Scots pines and younger birch, their branches brushing against the evening air. You see the warm colors of autumn still glowing, flame-tipped leaves, soft gold moss, bracken folding into rust. Then, between the trees, a sudden glimpse of water. Not a loch this time, but the sea. You are near the coast now, and you feel it. That salty breath on the wind, the openness of it, the way the light reflects longer and wider off the water. To your left, beyond the trees and hills, Loch Nan Wam stretches toward the ocean, narrow and winding, held between steep sides and scattered coves. You pass close to its shore, where rocky outcrops tumble into still water. You imagine standing there, alone at the edge, hearing nothing but the gulls and the tide licking gently at the stone. The world feels further away, and you feel closer to yourself. Let your breath move with the sea, long, low, unhurried. You pass above a small bay now, a quiet crescent of sand tucked into the hillside. The water there is pale blue, shifting with the last light of day. No footsteps on the shore, just driftwood, seaweed, and the soft hush of wind. To your right, a wide sweep of moor rises again, wild and bristled with heather and gorse. You see sheep scattered like clouds along the hillside, heads bent, still grazing in the dusk. A cluster of whitewashed cottages appears in the near distance, the first signs of Loch Elor, though you won't be stopping, just passing, just observing, just being. The track lifts again, winding along the shoulder of the hills, and then to the west, the view opens. Your breath catches softly. The sound of Erisig stretches out in front of you, broad, calm, dappled with light. And beyond it, rising from the horizon like a myth, the silhouettes of the small isles, Aig with its sudden sharp ridge, Rum wide and dark like a sleeping whale. And if you look far enough, maybe even Muck, like a quiet brushstroke on the sea. The islands rest in soft color, their shapes blurred by distance, made golden by the last slant of sun. You let your thoughts drift out to them, slow and wide. No destination, just floating. Below you, the land is softening again, fields edged by low stone walls. tiny streams winding through yellowing grass, the occasional flutter of crows lifting from a fence post, wings cutting through the stillness. You breathe in again. The scent in your mind is sea air now, cool, tinged with salt and moss, and maybe a hint of peat smoke from a distant hearth. Somewhere out there, waves lap quietly against rock, and that sound lives inside you now, steady and slow. You're nearing Arisag, but the train does not stop. It only slows slightly, as if to linger, as if it too wants to savor this part of the world. To your left, white sand beaches appear, unexpected, dazzling, curving bays backed by rough grass and black rock. The water is turquoise near the shore, deepening to sapphire as it stretches toward the horizon. The light hits it all just right. Evening gold on silver blue, a glow on the hills, a shine on the sea. It feels like a painting that breathes. Let your breath match that feeling, expansive, still, endless. The train curves inland for a moment, passing a hill dotted with rowan trees, their red berries vivid against the dusk. You see a deer standing at the edge of the woodland, watching, still, unbothered by your quiet journey. You feel seen but not judged, held but not stopped. The sky is deepening now, lavender melting into blue, and behind the hills, the first stars blink through the veil. One appears above Egg, another above the fields behind you. And slowly, night begins its careful descent, but there is no hurry. The light lingers, like a friend reluctant to say goodbye. To the west, you glimpse another beach, perhaps Kamudara, its sand smooth and untouched. You think of the tide slipping in over it now, gentle and silver. You imagine the sound, and you let that sound become your breath. The train continues its winding path, closer now to the edge of the land. You feel it in your bones. The sea is near. The air feels cleaner, more open, full of space. You are almost there, but not quite, and that's the beauty of it. This moment, in between. No rush, no ending, just the soft movement between light and dark, between hills and sea, between who you were when the journey started and the calm you've found now. Breathe, and let this moment stretch, as wide as the ocean, as quiet as the dusk. The train moves quietly now, not because it's slower, but because everything else has softened. Even the air feels hushed, as though the landscape itself is listening. You've left Arisag behind, and ahead the sea stretches wider. To your left, it opens like a great page, inked with stars and dusk light, and far across the water, the shapes of distant islands rest beneath the sky. The Isle of Skye rises in the distance, soft and dark, its peaks blurred in the violet glow of night. You catch its outline, and something in you settles. This is the final stretch, and it feels like exhaling. The land rolls low here, soft hills and quiet fields, silvered by evening dew. Stone walls curl gently across the slopes, and the occasional gate swings open to nothing but wind. You pass close to the shore now. The sound of sleet runs beside you, gentle and open, its waves barely whispering. Let your breath match the water. Let it rise. Let it fall. You see white sand again, the last of the beaches, small, perfect coves where the sea comes in without sound and leaves nothing but smooth stone and wet shells behind. There are no footsteps, no houses, just land and water, sky and light. You pass over a narrow bridge. Beneath it, a stream flows out to meet the sea, its journey complete, and for a moment you feel the same. A flock of birds lifts suddenly from the shore, dark shapes wheeling silently across the glowing sky. Their wings catch the last of the light, and then they disappear, folded back into the land. You breathe in again. The air is cool and salt-touched, fresh from the water, smelling of seaweed and wind-worn rock. To your right now, the hills close in slightly. Low, rounded shapes covered in heather and moss. In the hollows, you glimpse small low-shans, still as mirrors, reflecting the darkening sky in perfect silence. A cottage appears near the track, its roof steep, its walls white. Smoke curls from its chimney, and a light glows warmly in the window. You imagine someone there, seated, wrapped in wool, watching the train pass, just as you've watched the land unfold. There's a comfort in that. The quiet company of strangers, each on their own path, each held by the same dusk. The track lifts gently again, turning inland for a moment, then bending back toward the water. And then, in the distance, you see it. Mallaig, a cluster of lights, soft and golden, spread like stardust at the edge of the sea. The harbor glimmers faintly, boats resting on black water, ropes swaying in the breeze. But the train doesn't hurry. It moves like the tide, slow and steady, letting the moment unfold. You pass above a final stretch of coastline, a rocky edge where the sea meets land in soft rhythm. You can almost hear it, the lap of wave against stone, the sigh of the wind through long grass. A ferry is docked in the harbor now, its lights shimmering on the water's surface. It waits to carry others to sky, to the isles, to the next chapter. But you're not boarding, not tonight. You've arrived, and not just in Mallaig, but in stillness, in presence, in peace. The train begins its final curve. You feel it slow beneath you, the motion easing, the hum softening. You close your eyes for a moment, and in that stillness, you remember it all. The forests near Airdrie, the shimmer of Loch Lomond, the wild breath of Rannoch Moor, the stars above Glenfinnan, the soft sand near Airsay. Each moment a part of you now, not just seen, but felt. You breathe in and hold that feeling. And as the train glides toward the end of the line, you let yourself rest. Nothing more to reach, nowhere else to go. Just the sound of the sea, the warmth in your chest, and the gentle knowing that you have been carried through light, through land, through quiet, and all.